All right, guys, this average rate of change practice. Okay, I want you to see different ways that you can be asked rate of change. God bless you. You can have a table of values where you're asked to find the rate of change. You could be given a graph where you're asked to find rate of change. Or like the ones at the end, you could be given an equation to find rate of change. But understand that rate of change utilizes, I call it ROC, rate of change. It utilizes the slope formula, right? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Your rate of change is not called slope because slope indicates something is a constant rate of change, like in a linear function. It's the same from one point to the next. Up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Any other function other than linear, your rate of change varies, it changes from one point to the next because it's not a straight line function. On WebAssign, when they ask you for the net change is just the change in y value. So if they give you the x, that means find the y, and then the net change is just what the y value changes. You read that from left to right, how the graph goes. So if from one point to the next, left to right, the graph goes upwards, your net change is positive. From left to right, from one point to the next, it goes down, your net change is negative. But in a case like number 1, okay, it says look at the graph of x squared plus 1. What is the average rate of change between, guys, this is an interval. That's not an ordered pair. That's the interval where x equals -1 and where x equals 3. Notice there's brackets on that. What does the brackets mean? It's included. So what you need to do when you're given information like this and it says what's the average rate of change, well, what are the 2 points that you're looking at? I'm looking at where x is -1 and where x is +3. So look at your graph. When x is -1, what is the y value? 2, okay. And where x is 3, what is the y value? Where x is 3?
10.
Right there, it's 10. All right, we have not found the average rate of change. We just found the 2 points that they want us to look between. I always write my points on top of each other because it's really easy to make a silly mistake. I like to label, okay, here are my x's, here are my y's. Does it matter which y I start with? Can I say 2 minus 10 or 10 minus 2? Doesn't matter, right? Whatever y you start with in the numerator, you have to start with the corresponding x in the denominator. So I'm just going to say 10 minus 2. Since I said 10 minus 2 in the numerator, what does the denominator need to start with? Perfect. 3 minus -1. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 3 minus -1 is 4. So your average rate of change is what? 8 over 4, which is 2. Now, if you guys would have done it backwards, some of you said, well, I started with 2. Okay, fine. 2 minus 10, then you would have said -1 minus -3, right? Is it, too many negatives in one spot? -1 minus 3, right? Like this. 2 minus 10 is -8. -1 minus 3 is -4. What is your average rate of change?
2.
It's still 2. All right, so that's why it doesn't matter. Whichever y, it does not matter which y you deem y2. Just make sure whatever y2 you use that corresponding x value in the same spot. But since my average rate of change is positive, what does that mean over this interval? What is my function doing? It's going up. It's increasing. If it was positive over the interval of -1 to 3, you would tell me it's doing what? Decreasing. Good. All right, let's look at number 2. Same kind of concept, all right? They gave me this function, x squared plus 6x plus 10. Okay, fine. And I want to know the average rate of change between -2 on the x-axis and 1. So I know I'm looking at, okay, x is -2 and where x is 1. So look at your function. Where x is -2, what is your y value? +2, agreed. All right. And then where x is +1, what is your y value? 17, okay? So again, when you're showing me your work, this is what I need to see. I need to see the points that you're looking at. I need to see your work. I need to see what you're putting over what. So y2 minus 1, y1, 2 minus 17 or 17 minus 2, doesn't matter. I'm going to write 17 minus 2. If I do 17 minus 2 on the top, what's the bottom need to say? 1 minus negative 2. Perfect. Guys, what's 17 minus 2? 15. Over 1 minus negative 2 is positive 3. So what's your average rate of change? 5. There you go. Say it again. Like a nice pretty whole number? Not necessarily. These happen too. That's a good question, but not necessarily. All right, let's look at 3. All right, 3 doesn't give us a picture. 3 gives us a table of values. But they give us everything we need to know because they want to know the average rate of change over what interval? From negative 1 to 3. What are they telling me when they say negative 1 and 3? What are those two values? Those are x's. Good. I want to know from where x is negative 1 to where x is 3. Well, they already told me what my y values were. I don't even really have to look. I know when x is negative 1, my y value is negative 11. And I know when x is 3, my y value is negative 27. So my 2 points that I'm going to be looking between are negative 1 and negative 11, and 3 and negative 27. Now, the math behind this stuff, guys, is not incredibly difficult. But it's really easy to make a mistake, missing a sign, something like that, and then your answer gets all messed up. So just make sure you're paying attention to little things. y2 minus y1, I'm going to say negative 27 minus a negative 11. Since I started with negative 27 on the bottom, what do I need to start with on the top? I'm sorry, vice versa. Since I started with negative 27 on the top, what do I need to start with on the bottom? 3. Okay, so 3 minus negative 1. If I have minus a negative, what does that become? Positive. So what's negative 27 plus 11? Negative 16, okay. And then what's 3 plus the negative 1? Or plus 1, sorry. So what's my answer here? Negative 4. What does that tell you? Over the interval of x is negative 1 to x is positive 3, what is your function doing? Decreasing. Good. Why do you know it's decreasing? Because that number is what? Negative. Very good. All right, let's look at the next one. What am I looking at here? What are the 2 points that I'm looking between? Where x is negative 4 and where x is positive 4. All right, so identify your 2 points. Negative 4, 16, and positive 4, 16. All right, so what's going on top? Okay, so 16 minus 16 over what? Negative 4 minus 4, or 4 minus a negative 4, okay. What is 16 minus 16? 0 over negative 8. What's your answer here? What's your average rate of change? 0. Is it okay to have 0 in a numerator?
Yes.
Yes. Is it okay to have 0 in the denominator? No. But it's okay that your average rate of change is 0. That's totally fine. It means it's not increasing nor decreasing. All right, let's go to the next page. I added one problem at the bottom. These are the type questions that you will see on your quiz. Do you guys see a picture here? No. Do you see a table? No. All you see is a function, and you see the interval over which I'm talking about. I gave you an equation, and I gave you 2 x values. How could you find y values if I gave you an equation and I gave you x values? You can plug it. So it's exactly what you'll have to do. You got to do a couple things here. In this case, I want to know what the y value is when x equals 1. And I want to know what the y value is when x equals 5. I need to know those things in order to then find the average rate of change. So just be careful. Just be careful when you substitute in. This says 1 squared plus 4. What do we do first? Square the 1. So 1 squared is 1, and 1 plus 4 is 5. So what you just found out, what you guys just told me is when I plug in 1 for x, I get out what for y? 5. There's my first ordered pair. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to plug in x is 5. So I have 5 squared plus 4. What's 5 squared? And 25 plus 4 is 29. So my other point is 5, 29. Now, I caution you guys. Every time we did slope, I told you to write the points on top of each other, right? The last problem we just did, we had 16 minus 16, we got 0, right? Some of you are not going to listen to me, and you're going to just leave the points like this, and you're going to say, oh, 5 minus 5 is 0. I agree, 5 minus 5 is 0. But what did I do there? When I said, oh, 5 minus 5 is 0, my average rate of change is 0, what did I do looking at these 2 points? I did a y minus x. That's a very common mistake. You guys make it all the time. That's why I'm pointing it out to you. I think it's in your best interest to just go like this. It takes 2 seconds. 1 over 5, 5 over 29. Then you can easily, visually see, oh, these are my x's and these are my y's. So now you can say, okay, it's 29 minus 5. Since I started out with 29 on top, what do I need to start with on the bottom? So 29 minus 5 is how much? 24. 5 minus 1 is how much? And my answer here is 6. My average rate of change is 6. Anybody have any questions? All right. Look at this next question. It's exactly the same except for one thing. What is that one thing? There is a negative in front of the x squared. Guys, again, you've got to be careful with signs here. I have two x values. X is 1 and x is 5. When I plug in 1 here, where do you notice the negative sign is? It's on the outside of the parenthesis. That does not say negative 1 squared. That says 1 squared, and then you times it by negative 1. So what this becomes, 1 squared is 1, so I have negative 1 plus 4. When I plug in positive 1, what does my y value become? Positive 3. Yep. So in the second one here, I have negative 5 squared plus 4. Well, 5 squared is 25. This is negative 25 plus 4. What is this ordered pair? 5, negative 21. That tiny little negative sign completely changed those two numbers. If you guys include it in the calculations and stuff like that, you're going to get the wrong answer. So just make sure you're paying attention to your signs. So I'm going to take my 2 points. I have 1, 3, and I have 5, negative 21. What do you guys want to use for y's? What do you want on top? What do you want on the bottom?
21.
Okay, so negative 21 minus 3 over what? 5 minus 1. Okay. What's negative 21 minus 3?
18.
Negative 24. And then what's 5 minus 1? 4. So what's my answer here? Negative 6. Are these two answers similar? Yes. But look how different they are. In the purple one, what is your function doing over the interval of 1 to 5? It's increasing. It's going up. In the second example that we're looking here, in the black, what is your function doing? It's decreasing. It's going what direction? Down. So yes, guys, those little negative signs make a huge, huge difference. You've got to pay attention to that, please. Please, please, please. All right, let's look at the next one. Look at number 7. Same thing. I have a function, 1/2 x squared plus 4, and I want to know the average rate of change between negative 2 and positive 6. So the first thing I do is I have to evaluate using those two numbers. X equals negative 2 and x equals 6. On your homework, this is what I should be seeing. On your quiz, this is what I should be seeing. You guys will not have a calculator, so you're going to have to do some calculations here. When I plug in negative 2, notice where the negative is. Where is it? It's inside the parenthesis. That's saying negative 2 times negative 2, which is what? 4. Then I multiply 1/2 times 4 is 2, and 2 plus 4 is 6. So when I plug in -2, I get out 6. That was not telling you at the beginning that was the first point. It just happened to be that way, guys. Right? That's just a coincidence. It's not because the first they gave you was -2, 6. You're like, oh, that's the point. That's not the point. Those are two x values. So now when I plug in 6, I have 1/2 times 6 squared plus 4. Well, what is 6 squared? 36. So I have 1/2 times 36, or 36 divided by 2, gives me what? 36 divided by 2. 18 plus 4, and I get 22. All right, so when I plugged in 6, I get out 22. Does anybody have any questions? All right, so now we're going to compare. We're going to find the average rate of change between -2, 6 and 6, 22. Again, guys, notice you see a 6 and a 6. Oh, 6 minus 6 is 0. Write them on top of each other so you see, ooh, one was an x value, one was a y. So I'm going to say 22 minus 6. Since I used 22 first in the numerator, what do I have to use first in the denominator? 6. So 6 minus a -2. What's 22 minus 6? How much? 16 over. What's 6 minus a -2? 8. What's 16 divided by 8? 2. Good. So over the interval of -2 to 6, what is your function doing? It's increasing. If you're asked that question, over the given interval, what is your function doing? You would say increasing. Why do I know this one's increasing? Because it's what kind of a number? Positive. What's this one doing up here? Decreasing. How do I know that? Because it's negative. Good. All right, 2 more. Over the function 3x minus 3, I want to know in between where x is -3 and where x is +3. Got a whole bunch of 3's here. So x equals -3, x equals +3. We have 3 times -3 squared minus 3. What is -3 squared? 9. 9 times 3 is, and 27 minus 3 is 24. So I have the point -3, 24. So same thing here. I'm going to say 3 times 3 squared minus 3. What's 3 squared again? 9. 9 times 3 is 27 minus 3 is 24. So I have 3, 24. Do you guys notice now that the 24s are in the same column? All right, so 24 minus 24. And then 3 minus a -3, or the opposite, -3 minus 3. What is 24 minus 24? 0. I get 0 over -6. What's my answer here? 0. So what's your function doing there? Staying the same. What do we call that when it stays the same? Constant. Good. All right, copy down this last one. We'll do it together and then let you guys work on your website. All right, so what do I do first? I look at this and I say, okay, what do I do? I'm going to plug in what? -3 for x, and I'm going to also plug in what? +2 for x. They gave me 2 x values. This is the interval where x is -3 and x is 2. They want to know over what interval what's going on here. So I have to say, okay, let's evaluate where x is -3. And we'll evaluate over here where x is 2. Take our x values, plug them in, then we'll figure out what y is. Again, guys, I just made this problem up, so this could be awful. It's okay, though. So -2, and I put in -3 squared plus 2 over 3 times -3 squared. Oh, this is a 3 here. Sorry, gotcha. Minus 1. All right, -3 cubed. What's -3 times -3? Times -3. So -27. All right, fine. So I have plus 2 over 3 times, what's -3 squared? So I'm going to write 9 over 1. And then minus 1. All right, this isn't that bad. A negative times a negative is a positive. So what's -27 times -2? 54. Positive 54. And then look what happens here. Can I cancel anything with the 3 and the 9? Yes, if you didn't see that, that's okay. You could just multiply across. 2 times 9 is 18, right? Over 3, which gives you, what's 18 over 3? 6, good. Or you could have canceled it here like that. And then I have minus 1. What's left to right, guys? 54 plus 6 is 60. Minus 1 is 59. So when I plugged in negative 3, I got out positive 59. All right, that wasn't brutal. Now we're going to come over here and do the exact same thing. So I have the function negative 2 times 2 cubed plus 2 over 3 times 2 squared. This one may not be as nice. All right, work from the inside out. Let's do our exponents first. So I have negative 2. What is 2 times 2 times 2? 8. Good. 2 cubed is 8. Plus 2 over 3 times, what's 2 squared? So you guys agree it's 4 over 1? All right, and then minus 1. All right, we're going to do a little more simplifying. What is negative 2 times 8? Negative 16, okay? Can I change, or I'm not going to do that right now. What is 2/3 times 4 over 1?
8 over 3.
8 over 3, so plus 8 over 3 minus 1, all right? Okay, this is not everyone's favorite thing in the world. I understand that, but it's a fraction. We're going to deal with it. What is the common denominator here between 1, 3, and 1? 3. So if I change this to 3, I multiply 1 times 3 on the bottom. What do I do on the top? I have to multiply by 3, right? What's negative 16 times 3? Negative 48, good. I don't have to do anything with 8 over 3. That's fine. We can just stay. And this one's fairly easy, guys. If I change this to a 3, 1 times 3 is 3. What you do to the bottom, you do where? To the top. So this is just minus 3 over 3, right? Not bad. So now we're going to go from left to right. Left to right. What's negative 48 plus 8? Negative 40 minus 3. Negative 43 over 3. So I have the point 2 negative 43 over 3, yeah? All right, have we found the rate of change yet? No. All we've done is find, given the two x values, we've found two y values. That's it. How do we go about finding the average rate of change? What formula do we use? The slope. So here are my 2 points. Negative 3, 59, and 2 comma negative 43 over 3, right? So here are my x values, here are my y values. Agreed? All right, so we're going to just work this out. I'm going to say negative 43 over 3 minus 59 over 1. Right? I started off with negative 43 over 3 in the numerator. So what am I going to start off with in the bottom? 2. So 2 minus negative 3. All we have are just this is basic math. In the numerator, I have to simplify. I can't leave the fraction. I cannot combine them until I have a common denominator. So what's the common denominator between 1 and 3?
3.
If I change the 3 here, that means I have to multiply the top by 3. So I have negative 43 over 3 minus, what's 59 times 3? What is it? 177. Okay. Over, what's 2 minus negative 3? 5. Good. Okay, keep going. Just keep simplifying. Simplify the numerator. What's negative 43 minus 177? Negative 43 minus 177. Negative 220 over 3 divided by 3. Guys, what do you have here? I said 3, but I wrote 5. I was looking at the 3. What do you have here?
Division.
It's just, yeah, that's all it is. All you guys did in the numerator, yeah, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but all you did in the numerator was just subtract fractions. Got a common denominator, no big deal. Now you look and you have a fraction divided by a fraction, so you keep, change, flip. So this becomes negative 220 over 3. Keep that first one. What do we change the division to? Multiplication. And then what do I do with 5 over 1? I flip it, it becomes 1 over 5. So let's just, let's do some cross canceling. Can I divide 220 by 5? I know for a fact I can because it ends in a 0. So you guys don't need a calculator to do this. You can do this. 5 goes into 20. How many times? 4, right? With 2 left over. So look, 220 goes in 4 times. 2 left over. What's my answer here?
44.
So negative 44 over what? What's your average rate of change here? Negative 44 over 3. Heaven, did that work out nice and pretty? No. Are they always going to work out nice and pretty? No. But what is this telling you? Over the given interval that we started with 20 minutes ago, what is what's happening over this given interval? Your function's doing what? How do you know it's decreasing? Because it's a negative. Your average rate of change is negative, so it's decreasing. Questions? All right. So what I would like